Scott, you and I are checking out a top-down pirate cloud game. Dude, I saw this and I thought, yo, we gotta get in on this one. Let's check this out. This is Black Skylands, and this is pretty cool, man. This gives that old school retro feel, right? The pixelated art style, which I thought was done really well. I actually really did. I thought it brought a lot of charm to the game. Though it's not my preferred art style, I did have a good time with the art direction overall. I thought it was done well. And then you get into a little bit of this story that, you know, it kind of hooked me at the beginning, and I wasn't expecting it to as much as it did get its hooks into me. I like where the story was going, but we play as Eva, who's kind of, it's funny because we were talking about this off camera, but you referenced it as Horizon, where Aloy goes from a child into an adult, and well, the same thing kind of happens here. All of a sudden, something happens. I don't want to spoil the story. We're not going to spoil the stories. We're not going to do that. But what happens is basically it turns out to 8 years later, boom, you're just an adult now versus you're upcoming as a wannabe pirate sort of scenario. And then as you progress through the story and stuff, dude, I thought it was cool. It set up an interesting story, but there's a couple things you were telling me a little bit off screen afterwards that you were so on the story. But I liked the other factors that came into play when there was this crafting material. You go out, gather resources. You can base build too, which is always a highlight for me. It's something I really enjoy doing. And this game kind of had, dude, like there's a bunch of check boxes and just kind of went check. And I was like, wow.
That's a good way.
Yeah, right? And it's just, I didn't expect this. But yo, Black Skylands, cool game. I had a good time so far. What about you?
I have a very hard time not calling it Skylanders. I want to get that out of the way. If I do make that mistake, forgive me. I liked Skylanders. But in this case, that pixelated kind of look to it is something that I think was popular a lot in the early 2000s. That's what I remember all these kind of look and feel of these games come from. And so it strikes a little bit of a charm with me. But we get into that, and unfortunately, the story really didn't last very long for me, but that's not to say it was a negative. I kind of took a look at the map, and from looking at the map, you can kind of see what the game's about. You're taking each island, these sky islands that is, you're taking each of these and holding them, clearing them off, and now the people can repopulate, and it looks much happier now. And when I realized that, I kind of went about my quest that, funny enough, strikes me in every Ubisoft game, where I just want to clean the map. I'll go from one corner to the other and just clear it off. But to my surprise, and very happily, the game actually goes through a couple different difficulty waves, we'll say. You're fighting these falcons, these sky pirates, and they're really cool. But there's a lot of little boss fights in there, and those boss fights are really difficult. There's one, I want to say Mort. Mort was a difficult one, but it had enough of a challenge where I thought, okay, I do need to kind of look at my equipment, my weapons, my ship, because all of this is customizable to an extent. Customizable as in you can put a different weapon on your ship, but you can also level all the different aspects of your ship, your speed, your power, your hull integrity, that kind of thing. And even towards the end, you start getting other kinds of ships. So there's a lot of different kind of modular, you're setting up a loadout. All right, I have a side mission, and that goes for fight this ginormous pirate ship. Okay, cool. I'm going to need something fast to avoid all that fire.
Yep.
And having this kind of thought put into it, I have to be thoughtful for what I'm doing. And it was really, really enjoyable. And you strike something there with the checkbox, because I go through it and I go, all right, storyline, cool enough, although I discarded. The map, pretty interesting. And again, as you go further and further, it opens up more of the map. The base building, I really like that myself too, because each of those has a function as well. That's how you level your weapons and your ship up beyond the normal max, and that comes with different kind of items that you're scavenging from the world. So there's a whole lot of reason to kind of revisit some of these islands if you've not scrubbed it clean like myself. But there's a huge amount of playtime in this game, and that's something that I discovered quite early on. Is I'm spending 3 or 4 hours just kind of at a time just crushing through this map, and it's kind of rare that a game strikes me that way anymore.
That's very cool. I saw the download size, and it wasn't very big, right? I played on Xbox, and you're playing over on the PC with this, and I'm going, oh, it's only 2 gigs. This shouldn't be all that long. I'm like, this is still going. Like, this is still going. But yeah, it was cool. The problem when you get into combat, though, Scott, is the controls. This is where I kind of had my biggest downfall. I started before you did. I said, dude, if you can, go play this on mouse and keys, because I think that's the way to play this, because it is set up more like a twin stick shooter in the way I'm trying to go around and shoot everybody. Dude, it just wasn't clicking. I feel like the controls weren't connecting properly with the motion and the movement around. And then when you actually fly your ship, I felt like I was floating out of areas that I didn't really want to be. And then not only floating out of areas, but floating off my ship. I'm falling. Dude, I fell a lot off my ship, off of some of these worlds. You can grapple back on, but I felt like I was constantly doing that over and over again. And I thought, well, once I'm on the ship, I feel like I should be on the ship and not having to worry about moving too far to the left or right and then falling off, not realizing you're falling off, because it is a top-down view that you're just going down, and all of a sudden your health bar comes up. I'm like, what is going? Oh, I'm falling. Oh no.
Again.
Yeah, for the 4th time, right? So then all of a sudden you got to grapple and get back on your ship or the island that you're on. But yeah, the combat for me, dude, I had a difficult time with the combat. It wasn't something that really clicked.
Oh, the mouse and keys, I think, was the superior. Because I haven't played on the controller, it's kind of hard to tell exactly, but the mouse I was able to keep target and move around quite fast, and that's very necessary for these boss fights, so it was good. There's one aspect of the base building that maybe I'm nitpicking here, but it's everything you pick up, different weapons, different, even a pool table, different kind of furniture items. They're called furniture, and that's because there's no real function to it. For example, I have a machine gun turret. I want to put it on my ship. I'm thinking I can increase the firepower, but when you drop it on your ship, it just slides off, similar to how you did, and falls off of the ship and is gone. So that was just something that I would have liked to kind of move forward with, but when it comes to arming up the father ship, the place you return to a lot, there isn't much purpose because it's not under siege very often.
Scott, all in all, sounds like we've had a pretty decent time. Black Skylands has been a ton of fun. It's something we definitely want other people to check out. For me, I'm wrapping it up with a 7.5. The controls just kind of took me out of that special space when it came to flying around as a pirate, man.
Oh, that's fair, and I think I enjoyed pretty much everything you did and a little bit more. I'm there with an 8.5. This game just settled perfectly into my style of play, and I'm going to be seeing this one all the way through.